the Education Lounge podcast.
Welcome to the Education Lounge podcast, episode 8. Today we're talking with Margaret about her daughter's GCSE results and the journey to those results. So Margaret, welcome.
Thank you.
So really I wanted to have a chat with you because it's been a very, very interesting journey with your daughter. She was with us for almost 2 years. I thought it was 1.5 when she came in with a thank you present. But actually, when I've looked at it, it's been 2 years. And really, I just wanted to have a conversation about how big a part motivation played in that journey.
Thank you for having me. I can start from how we got here.
Yes, of course.
Let's say my daughter was in year 8, and we started seeing signs that she would need support in the long run. So I had a conversation with her, and at the time it wasn't an easy, she didn't accept that she needed support and she needed help. By which time we had got her into Kumon. So she just saw additional support as additional work that she will have, in her words, no life, because she was doing dancing, swimming as well, all to help build her confidence. So I don't think the inclination of her having additional tutoring was receptive from her part. But I said, okay, well, let's see how it goes. Continue with the tutor with Kumon, and we'll see when you get into year 9, because year 9 is when the GCSE preparation starts in the school she went to, her secondary school. So she got to year 9, and as I was going through her books, which I do every week after, at the end of the school week, I noted that her grades were not great, especially in the sciences. And I, obviously we question, what's going on? Is there anything you would need support with? And I remember once it was biology, and I saw 13%. 13%. And I'm like, hang on a minute.
This was in year 8?
Year 9.
Year 9.
Yeah, and she's chosen subjects for GCSEs, and she was doing biology, physics, chemistry.
As a triple science?
As a triple science for subject for GCSE. And I said, are you serious? Is this for real? She goes, yeah.
And had the school come back to you?
No.
Not said anything to you?
And the week after, I saw 9%.
Oh my goodness.
Well, I was nearly having a heart attack. So I called my husband and said, this is serious. We need to kind of take steps. And I said, do you need you need extra tuition? Because I can't teach you biology. Do you need help? She goes, no. I said, yes, you do. Probably think about it. I'm only going to give you one more talk, give you one more another week to see if your grades improve. And we did not have to wait a week. She came home and said, oh, Mom, I asked the teacher ABCD, and her response was, it's just science.
What?
Yes. Honestly, that's how we kind of...
So she's gone to her teacher for additional help.
Yeah.
And the teacher has said it's just science.
In the science lesson they were having, she had a query or question, and she asked the science teacher, and her response was, it's just science.
Did you challenge the school?
Well, I didn't, because at the time things were not great. So I said, fine. This just shows that you're going to need support. Because if you're doing triple science and this is where we're at, you're not going to get good grades. So let me try and see what happens. So as time went on, I had various meetings with the school and brought this up, but nothing was picked up, that maybe it's her. She wasn't motivated in lessons. She did not understand. Well, she did not understand what were we doing about it.
So did the school explicitly say she's not motivated? Or
In a roundabout
right.
way. In a roundabout way. That she's not there, like she's with a group of friends who are in lessons. She's with a group of friends who they don't participate in lesson. There were excuses.
Right.
First and foremost, in year 8 is when we found out that Nerissa had eyesight problems.
Uh-huh.
She used to sit in the front and she was asked to sit at the back. And
was there a reason why she was asked to sit at the back?
Because somebody else needed to sit in the front.
Okay.
Yes, so she's at the back, could not see, and what would that do to a child? Make them demotivated.
Yes.
Because she can't see.
Yes.
And, because I was talking and questioning her, and okay, let's go and see the optician. Found out that she only had 30% sight in her left eye. And then you put her at the back. Of course you're not going to get anything from that child. So that was also a harrowing experience for us. So we've got this child who's got 30% vision in one eye, and then she's not doing very well in certain subjects. Maths and history she loved. Food she loved. But the 3 sciences she's chosen, she was not doing great. And I thought, no, we're going to find support for you. And so that's how we kind of ended up here. I just had to reach out to friends who've had kids and who were already in the school system to hear their experiences and to guide me. And thankfully, we've also got in our family. I've got an in-law who's a teacher who I had a long conversation with and said, you know what, you kind of you're ahead of things because you've got 3 years.
Yes, absolutely.
Before
I imagine if you picked that up in the last year.
Yeah, she goes, if your intuition tells you this is what she needs, you're going to go with it. And from then, I thought, okay, we're going to look for some support for you. And that's how we ended up with Red Bridge Tuition.
Wow, that's some journey.
Yeah.
So it was never really that she wasn't motivated, it's just her circumstances were such.
Yeah.
And thankfully, you were looking at her books.
Yeah.
Because imagine the number of parents that don't have a clue that we speak to, don't have a clue about what's going on in school.
Yeah. And I've got friends or colleagues who haven't got a clue. But it's interesting because Nerissa is an only child, and so I've never had the experience, or we've never had the experience of the school system. So you take everything on face value. I remember once at work, I was making a call to the school, and a senior colleague said to me, I think you need to go in with your husband and have a discussion.
Yes.
And I think you should not take everything on face value. Go and see for yourself. And if you can do it at work, I don't see why you're timid to do it.
Yes.
On your daughter's behalf. But you need to go in.
It's just that you're out of your comfort zone in your territory, isn't it? That's all it is.
I'm not into education.
Yeah, and you don't know the language almost.
No.
Did you go in?
I did. Oh yeah, we went in. We had discussions, and But I could see from Nerissa's books, from her assessment, that she needed support, and here we are. And I would encourage every parent, or any parents, if they have the intuition to say their kids need support,
yes,
whatever kind, and I know people, recently she came home and said to me, "Oh, we were told that kids who have extra tuition, it's not required. It's just a waste of money."
They were told that in school.
They were told that at school. And hand on my heart, I would encourage it 100%. I would do the same again.
Would you?
I would even sacrifice or go without stuff to support my child, because education is the foundation of life.
Absolutely.
If you cannot give her that,
Absolutely.
and who knows how long
Since
we're going to be around to support her. But if we can do this now for her, we're not only benefiting her, we're benefiting society.
I can see you're getting quite emotional about
I
it.
am, because it's been a long journey.
And it must have been challenging for you.
Yeah, to get to where we're at now.
Yes.
And I would do it all over again. It's interesting, when we were choosing schools, sixth form schools, because we agreed that we're going to stick with the school system. I wanted the same discipline and everything that she has been acquainted to. And in my head, I thought, how about we go out of this borough and just give her, because I always said to her that the friends you make in primary or secondary schools are not your real friends. Probably at university. Maybe you might have one or two from secondary school or university. So don't think you've got to stay within the borough to do sixth form. She goes, I was going to come ask you both about that.
To
and
move?
I said, yeah. I said, is that what you want? And she goes, would you mind? I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, please. Let's give it a try.
So you've gone to a different borough
We've gone
now.
to a different borough.
And what were the criteria that you used to choose your school?
It's the subject, is what she wants to study.
She told me she wants to look at law.
She wants to do law. Yeah, she can argue you until you cry, even though she looks as if she doesn't know what she's all about. She can argue until you go blue in the face.
Can she?
Yeah.
It's interesting because we were talking about this and she's so poker-faced.
Oh, yeah.
It's very difficult to judge. You really have to look into her eyes to be able to work out what's going on.
Yeah.
That's
That's her.
And in the 2 years,
Yeah.
that smile when she came in, I've never seen her so happy.
Yeah, that's her. It's been a journey for her. And I remember that morning, August 12th.
You even remember the date?
Yes, August 12th. I'd come home, I'd taken the day off. I'd taken 2 days off because we had to go present results at the schools and all that. So I'd taken the 2 days off. And I'd woken up at 5:30 as I would to go to work. We slept downstairs that day, and I'm thinking, gosh, just wake up and let's start preparing. She wasn't meant to have the results until 10 o'clock, so I'm not sure why I was woke up at 5:30. And I saw 6 o'clock, I saw 6:30, I saw 7, and I'm like, oh gosh, this is so touch. And she was sound asleep. And she woke up at 9:45 or 9:50, and then logged on, and then just gave me her phone. And I'm like, you done it? She goes, yeah. Do you not believe I'll do it? I'm like, no, I did. I said, well, thanks to the tuition center. They supported this. Do you know that? And she goes, yeah. I said, but do you believe they supported this? She goes, yeah. I said, hand on your heart. She goes, yeah. I'm like, well, we're going to go there this afternoon. We've not been there all this time. We've got to go there this afternoon.
It was so lovely to see her.
Yeah. And she smiled. And I'm like, gosh, you've done it, Nerissa. You've done it. And she goes, yeah. I said, well done.
Yeah, absolutely well done. Absolutely.
Yeah. And I'm like, interesting, you've got the grades to take you to the school you want to go to the school.
Yeah.
Because I had someone else, I wanted her to go all the way in Schoenfeld. She goes, no, I want to go
to this particular
school, and that's it.
So now, given that we had such a tough time with lockdown, what was her exam journey like? Were there any formal exams for her? Was it completely teacher assessed?
Yeah. Before lockdown, they had the mock exams.
Yes.
We never knew the results of that.
Really?
We were not told. The children never knew
where they needed to improve, what they needed to do.
I remember asking last March about the result, and I was told they were going to be used as part of their assessed grades.
Which is why they didn't tell you.
Which is why they didn't. But then the kids needed to know. They've done an exam and they have not believed they've done well or have not done well. And like you rightly said, they do not know where they need to do some extra studies for. So, But I found during lockdown, she she was very determined and very motivated. She would wake up every morning, did not have to, she hated the journey. In fact, she hated waking up in the morning to start rushing for the buses to get in.
So it sort of worked in her favour.
It worked in her favour. She enjoyed the online tuition. She enjoyed it thoroughly. She did not mind coming here, I must say. She did not mind coming to the tuition centre at all. But she just hated the journey going to school. She hated it. So for how long they had to be at home and have online tuition, she was in favour.
And typically, how much online did she have from the school?
I think she had most of her.
So they were good enough. They were good is the wrong word. Proficient enough to transition over.
Yeah. Once I think when it all started in March, it wasn't set up. It wasn't.
I think most schools
they struggled.
They caught out.
Yeah, they struggled. But come September, is it September or the second lockdown?
I think it was.
Yeah, they were all geared up by that time. And
yes, because there was all that talk about are they going back to school? Are they not going back to school? And it was all quite last minute.
Yeah, I think in March it was difficult, but then once things kind of progressed that this lockdown was going to be a long term, things materialized, and she enjoyed the tuition, and she logged on every day.
Well, that's really good because a lot of children were completely demotivated. She's one of the few that certainly with parents that we've talked to has actually enjoyed online.
Yeah. She engaged initially. If I remember well, because I think sometime between May and July or May and June, I remember having to check her, because she's got a laptop of her own. I remember having to go in and check her work. And I could see comments that she wasn't submitting. I don't think because like the teachers, the kids weren't prepared. They were meant to come teach themselves how to do it all. And I think she struggled, but did not know how to ask for help.
Yes.
Like, when you ask me, and I would go back and ask our IT team, or I'll write to the school to say A, B, C, D, E. But if you do not ask me, it looks as if you're not interested.
Yes.
You're not engaging, and it will count against you.
Yes.
Because don't forget, at the end of the day, you're going to be at their mercy. So come on.
Absolutely.
And once because what I found out, some of the work she was meant to take photograph on and then load. A few of them, we were having messages to say she'd not loaded up, or she had not done, she'd not submitted. Some she had submitted, but for some reason had not gone through with the internet, because we had internet issues as well. Because my husband was at work from home.
I think a lot of people found this.
Yeah. So, but once everything was embedded, she was fine.
She was fine. Got on with it.
She loved it. She enjoyed, and she got on with all the work that was required.
Amazing.
In fact, I must say she was. I don't want to say she was commended. I think her year group were commended a lot of the time for engaging with the online tuition and lessons. Yeah.
So once the results have come out, given some of the comments that were made while she was in school, have you had any conversation with the school?
No, I haven't, and I don't think I will. I've had friends and families who are teachers say, "Oh," I'm like, "No, listen, we've got a good school. We've got a very good school. We just let it be."
Yes.
And she's not going to that school again.
Yes.
She's not going to that school again. So why? If only from conversations now, she says to me, "If only I'd listened to you in year 8, because that's not the school we had wanted her to go to. We had to give in because she had lots of friends from her school that were going to the school at the time. Or not even lots of friends. Her best friend was going to the school at the time.
And so she wanted to go to that school.
She wanted to go to that school. And if only I kind of dug my heels in year 8, when I said, "Listen, we must move." And but never mind. for the next life.
For the next life. I mean, certainly sounds like she was clearly very, very motivated. Do you think it would have had as big an impact on her jump of grades if she'd had, I'm not wording this correctly, how much of an impact, how much of a jump, that's it, how much of a jump would you have needed if the school had been motivated enough? I know it's a how long is a piece of string type of question, but
to be honest, when I think back, how much of a jump would she have had, or in terms of her grades? I've had this quandary, with myself and with my husband. In 2 or 3 of her subjects, she had merits. And one of the things we'd asked friends who are teachers or even ourselves in our discussion, because in my eyes, is to warrant a merit, you must have excelled more than what...
more than the expectation.
The expectation. So you should go to the next level. That's how I perceive it, or that's how we know. So why was she not given the next level?
Right.
I.e. for 6
or
5 where she got merits.
Yes.
So the next one would have been 6 or 6 and 7. Isn't it, Bob?
Yeah, because the cut-off for GCSEs with the 9-1 system is that the lower grade, the foundation is up to grade 5, and then higher goes from 4 upwards. So the transition is grade 5.
Right.
We've had this with other students where the school has said, no, we want you to sit the foundation paper.
Well, it's
And
interesting.
they've been borderline. And I've always said, well, if you're going to achieve a 4 or a 5 in the higher paper, why would you not go for the higher paper? Quick technical point. If a child is preparing for a foundation paper at GCSE and is predicted a grade 5, they should not be put in at a late stage into the higher paper because there is more content to learn and they could actually fail altogether. So best to stick to a foundation paper if that's what they're preparing for.
It's interesting you should say that, because when she did the Spanish mock, she was being prepared for the higher paper because she was predicted good grades.
Yes.
Because I've seen the chat on her Teams with the teacher. When she did the mock exam in December, she came home and said, I was given the wrong Spanish paper. I was given the foundation paper and I should have sat the higher paper. I said, but why did they give you the foundation paper? She goes, I don't know. She goes, I said, did you challenge it? She goes, no, I just sat what they gave me. I'm like, well, why would you do that? She goes, well, that's what they gave me, Mom. I'm like, but Nerissa, that doesn't make sense. If you were being prepared, and I could see from the talk, from the conversation with your teacher, you've been prepared for the higher paper, why would they give you the lower paper? She goes, well, I don't know. So I wrote an email to say, and the highest she could get is a 5.
Yes.
And so I challenged it, and I got some kind of, the response I got was all wishy-washy. And it was so annoying that you put responsibility on Nerissa, that she should have asked for the paper. Yes, she has a part to play in it. She goes, but I've watched other children in mocks who were given the wrong paper. They had to wait half an hour for the examiner to call the teacher, the head of year, to liaise with the teacher to confirm, and that's half an hour gone, and they don't get given that half an hour back.
They don't given that time back.
I said, but that's not your fault. If you were given the wrong paper, it's the...
We've heard this from other students in different schools. Where for, they've got borderline issues with things like dyslexia. And they weren't given the extra time. And then that's flustered the child, which means they've completely flunked the next paper, and there's a whole argument going on in the school.
That's
I think the schools have really struggled administratively.
They have.
And I think the children suffer for it.
Yeah, they have. So, like I said, I got nothing, no proper feedback. But then we went into the second lockdown. I remember writing the email on the night of whenever the second lockdown was in December. We went IKEA. I was on my phone chatting while my husband was driving, and then they announced the lockdown. I thought, okay, well, there's no point sending this email because they're not going to get it or they wouldn't respond to me, and I didn't. But then I remember having a chat with one of the heads, sometime in March before they went back. And he said to me, oh, you should have sent it because they were working from home and they've gotten it. I'm like, really, I wanted a face-to-face meeting. I said, I think we hide behind emails too much. Sometimes just sitting down and having a conversation sometimes just
clears up so
everything.
much very quickly.
Yeah. I said, but never mind. I said, but I do not want her to go forward because that counts against her.
Yes.
If the highest she could get for that paper is a 5, and if you were projecting and preparing her for a higher grade, you get me? It demotivates her.
Of course it does.
Yeah.
Of course
I said, and I had a chat with her, and yeah, I said, this is not great. Anyway, here we are.
Well, hopefully, sixth form will be a
Yeah.
much smoother journey.
Let's hope. New page, new school, new page, new challenges.
So I was asking her, what A levels do you want to do? And they're all essay subjects. So do you realise how much you're going to have to write?
Yeah, I've told her.
Oh yeah, I know, whatever. And she said she wants to do law. We sort of mentioned this. And again, I said to her, because my daughter's now a trainee lawyer, and the journey is not an easy one.
Yeah.
They've changed a lot of how they do it, because my daughter did a degree first, then took some time out, deciding, no, she did a degree, then she went to work, hated it because it was admin, and literally she wasn't really using her brain much, and took time out, came back, we had a conversation, and very often the conversation at home is, but I'm right in this argument, how have you won the argument? And so
Practicing.
exactly. So I remember saying to her, look, you're naturally a lawyer. And we talked about, her options, and she decided eventually to go into law. And it's very, very demanding. But the journey that she had, because she had to do a conversion, it was grueling. But I think one of our tutors, in fact, has just started. Where is he? Bristol. He's gone to Bristol. He's just finished with us. Just comes back for the summers and what have you. And he was saying, and he's studying law, and he said it's very different how they do it. It's not as grueling.
Okay.
So hopefully,
Yeah.
it'll work in her favour.
We have a family friend whose son is going to do law. I think she's going to do the bar now, and we've had a chat with him, and I've just kind of put him in touch with my girl,
Yes.
so that she knows.
Yes.
But she's focused on wanting to do criminal law because she thinks somebody must defend the criminals.
Is that what she thinks? Somebody must defend the
She
criminals.
goes, oh, they've got rights too, Mom.
Oh wow.
Somebody has got to hear their side. And A, B, C, D, E. I'm like, well, you're right. Everyone deserves a chance.
Absolutely.
Yeah. She's determined, and if that's what she wants to do, we just have to support.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I remember a few years ago, my late mom was a nurse, and I used to take, my dear girl into work at Christmas. And I recall, as she gotten older, she said to me, when I inherit this ward, I will be. I'm like, but it's not a heirloom.
Yes.
But she goes, but you got it from your mother. I'm like, no. My mother was a nursing sister in the army. This is not the army, and that's not how I got this manager's job on this
Yes.
on this ward. She goes, yes, it is. I think she was determined that, or in her head, She thought me going into nursing was because of my mother, and then me being the manager of wherever I was working was because of my mom. I'm like, it's not really true.
No, it's not how it
It's
works.
not. I said, and you can't stand blood. I said, I'm not sure.
It's funny you say that, because I had that same conversation with my daughter. Because there were several options. So where if you want something that's going to challenge you, then you want something that's vocational, really.
Yeah.
And we looked at medicine. She went, Mum, I can't stand
She
blood.
She can't stand blood. I said, I'm not sure you're going to come inherit this ward that I run. She goes, okay. I think I'll look for something else. I said, yeah. But over the years, she'd ask me, so what should I do? What should I be? I'm like, but it's entirely up to you. It's not going to be my life. It's going to be your life. It's going to be Dad's life. It's going to be your life. So whatever interests you, you're going to do something that interests you.
Yes.
Don't do something because your friends want to do that or because we want you to do it. It's your life. It's your future. I've always wanted to be a nurse, and that's what I had for since I was a young child. He's always wanted to be accounting. This is what he did.
Yes.
So you got to choose what you want to do. And we'll
I couldn't do either of those jobs.
Someone's got to do it.
I could not do your job for sure. I've got friends who do similar jobs at different hospitals. In fact, I'm seeing one for dinner tonight, and some of obviously they don't go into detail, but the hours she works and the stories she tells, I just think I could not do it.
I cannot do education.
Yeah, I suppose it's horses for courses, isn't it?
Yeah.
Can we just talk a little bit about when Nerissa was younger? And just the changes you may have seen in her, again, because we're looking at motivation really, whether she's changed as she's got older. Obviously we've talked about, peer groups and that have an impact, the supporting systems like schools and tuition centres that have an impact. But really, when she was younger, did you see any sort of a big change? Because to go from primary school to secondary school it's a very different way of then working, because you're in big school now and you need to go to different classes instead of being in that same class all the time. You're going to have different teachers, different timetables, a lot of organisation. And so with that transition, I mean, as a young child, was she the same in terms of her motivation?
Interesting you should ask. Nerissa started nursery where I work. She was there for 2 years, and at the end of the 2 years, so she was there from 2, because when 0 to 2 she had a nanny, and we could see that from a tender age, I guess, because she had one-to-one.
Yes.
At home. Fortunately, the nanny was an ex-teacher, ex-nursery teacher. So by 2, Nerissa could spell her name. She knew, if not all, the alphabet. She could count to 20.
That's really good.
Yeah, because she had one-to-one tuition.
Yeah.
But at that age, at 2, she was very, very shy. And I think I could say that her social skills was next to zilch, because the nanny did everything for her.
Oh.
She just needed to say, it's water she needs. She needs cucumber. Boo, she needs rice cake. And you take Nerissa out. If she goes with the nanny, with us, she'll have a great time, because she'll be with the nanny all the time. If you give the nanny time off and you take her to church or to gathering, she'll just sit and want to hide under the chair or under the table. She was extremely painfully shy. So at 2, and about 18 months, I thought to myself, I think we need to expose her a bit. She used to go to playgroups, but she went to playgroups with the nanny. She was never left alone.
Yes.
You get me? So we agreed that she would go to nursery at 2, and we had a chat with her, and she said, yeah, it'll be good for her. So she went to school. But her first day at school, she just walked in, and she fitted in nicely.
Tears, no separation anxiety,
nothing at all. Nothing. The nanny was crying.
Oh,
honestly.
So the nanny had separation anxiety.
Yeah, she had separation. And she looked around I remember it was near London Bridge. She went to the M&S and the McDonald's there.
Yes.
Should in case the nursery calls back.
Yes.
No calls. So I said to her, go home, because I work here too. If they call, I'd pick her up and bring her home. Nothing. She stayed the whole day.
And she was fine.
She was fine. The next day she went in. Take care. And she walked in.
Amazing.
Yeah. But at the end of her 2 years, I've still got her report. I saw where they talked about confidence, being shy.
Yes.
She needed to, we needed to just support her and encourage her so that she could develop into the kind of person we want her to develop. And then she went to the nursery near home. At the end of that year was a similar report. You would think it's the same person who had written the report.
Oh, really?
But I had not shown the report at all.
Uh-huh.
And they would not have contacted the nursery.
No, they wouldn't.
They wouldn't have.
No.
But honestly, it's similar. And I'm like, this is interesting. How come? We've got some work here. But I thought, well, she's a child. But that's what, throughout her years in primary school, her shyness, her, needing to work on her confidence, always came through. But I noted with some teachers, she was great. If she had young teachers, when she had the matured people, she wasn't so receptive. I don't know what it was. Because I remember her in year 4 and year 6, she had the same teacher. And she had a way of nurturing and coaxing things out of her to get the best out of her. And then, so to be honest with you, she had a fair amount of friendship group, and she did well. Because in year 6, she was one of their group were the first to do the SATs.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they were, what was it now? They were...
With the change of curriculum,
That's
you
correct,
mean the 2014 change of curriculum?
That's the, yeah. They had all, I think, and it was within a short space of time that all the changes happened.
That's right.
It was in, I think, February or March.
Yes.
They were and then in May they had to do the SATs. And she came out well. So I'm like, well, she can do this.
Child.
She's not a silly child. She can do this.
Yes.
With support and nurturing, she can do that. So she got to secondary school, and obviously it was a change. It was a shock for her system. It's not what she was used to.
I don't think they really prep them.
They don't prepare them. No, because I found that out. They didn't prepare them. Yes, she went for a day at the school.
Sometimes it's just a morning or
something. But it was just fun stuff to do. Yeah. To just get them acquainted with the environment and the building, and that's it. It wasn't. So when she got to school, and in her first few weeks we were talking, it was a culture shock for her. It's not what she was used to. It wasn't the nurturing environment that she was used to.
Yeah, because the thinking is you're now heading towards being a grown up.
Yeah.
And so you've got to be independent.
Yeah. She grappled with that a bit.
Yeah.
But, and like I said, Nerissa, she's an only child. We did not have another one to mirror so we had to probably just talk to her and use friends and family to explain to her what is required. And in her own way, she tried to get on with it with minimal support. And I don't think she had the support that she required at that level.
It's unfortunate, really.
Yeah, she did not. Looking back now, I don't think, from talking to her, she would not go to that school again.
Yes.
She would not have chosen that. She would not choose that school again. But yeah,
is it a big school?
Is it a big school?
I mean, the ground's huge.
Yeah, the ground's huge.
Yeah, so it's a multi-entry.
Yeah.
It's not. I mean, you don't really get them in London now anyway. But
it's a big school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I've heard a lot of very similar stories from friends and from clients as well, where there's been interestingly, it's all girls that I've heard about. That's not to say that it hasn't happened to boys, but for some reason I've only heard about girls. And we've heard some of these stories over and over again. which doesn't really fill you with confidence.
It doesn't. But how does the school system make it better? Because I was talking to a colleague of mine whose child has also done GCSE, and over the past few years, especially during the lockdown, I kind of reached out to see how the child was being supported, because she's got two, a younger one and a huge age gap, and this 16-year-old. And I could sense she was struggling. And unlike me, I have tried to engage with the school. She hasn't. And when she said this last week to me, I don't understand the school system. It broke my heart. I said, so shall I say your boy has got the grades to go to sixth form? And she looked at me with tears in her eyes and said, no, she hasn't. He hasn't.
It's interesting because this year particularly, it looks like there's been a massive inflation of grades, because it's over 40% that have achieved A and A star, and yet you've then got the sort of stories that you've just said, where and there's clearly a massive dichotomy. It's and the schools, I'm sure, have tried their best, and the teachers,
I'm sure,
clearly work extremely hard. You know, we work with teachers
within the circumstances,
and they work their socks off.
Yeah.
But I think the whole system just has really struggled with lockdown.
I think it has. It has had a. Thankfully, it did not affect my girl, but it has affected friends of mine. I've had similar stories to what this colleague of mine was telling me.
So are they going to retake now?
Well, this child of my friend will have to take, because it's essential subjects like what was it, English and maths.
Yes.
And you need that.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, you need that.
Oh dear.
Yeah, I know. Oh dear. I'm thankful. That's why for me, people are you going to pursue what? Nothing. Please. We move on.
Yeah.
It's a new page, it's a new leaf.
That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it, because it just drags on forever and it's just not worth it.
And it's just this much animosity, and it's not worth the aggro. It's not. There's sometimes you just need to let go and move on.
She's got the grades she needs and she can just get on.
Upwards and onwards.
Absolutely, upwards and onwards.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know whether there was anything else that you wanted to talk about that we've not already covered, because really it was just a little dive into how your daughter is in terms of motivation. That's what this was about. Really, I think to conclude, I just want to say a huge thank you to you for coming in and doing this. I know we all have really, really busy lives, and I know it's taken a lot of your time out, so a huge thank you. And I've just got a tiny little thank you present for you.
Oh gosh, no, you didn't have to go do that. No, hand on my heart.
Do it.
Oh boy, thank you.
So it's nothing much. It's just a little thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. But I would, to be honest with you, if I had to repeat this journey again, I would.
Right.
And I'm so happy that it was actually Doris herself who chose your tuition center.
Yes.
And I could visualize the day we were driving past. And
I remember it was quite a nice day, and we stood outside talking. I remember.
Yeah, I'll do it again. And for any parent who can support their child in the way we have supported Nerissa via a tuition center, I recommend it. Because my job is nothing near to what you do. I'm not an educationalist, And I remember when Nerissa was in primary school, I would sit and do her homework with her. I mean, for English, I like writing and stuff. help him do the maths. He's into accounting. But as she got older, she was like, oh, that's not how I was taught. That's not how we should do it.
And
That's
we
not how-"
see this a lot.
Yeah,
We see this a lot.
Yeah.
And so what we end up doing is showing them, well, this is how you were taught.
yeah,
This is the quickest way to do it.
yeah,
And this is how the two link together.
yeah. And we'll have long, let's say, long arguments of, listen, even if you're not taught this way, it's the same, you get to the same point.
Yeah, exactly. You get
And we got to the point where I thought, you know what, it's not worth any aggro.
yes.
She needs to enjoy learning,
Yes.
yes? And we need to have the headspace
Yes.
to support it.
Yes.
So let's go to the experts.
Yes.
And I would do it all over again. I would recommend you guys to anyone.
Oh, thank you very
Yeah.
much.
Yeah. I've even made recommendations
Yeah.
because I think you supported Narissa to the best of your ability,
Yeah.
and you kind of, you've helped to get her to where she's, and to help to get the grades that she's got.
Well,
Yeah.
onwards and upwards, as you say,
That's correct.
and I really, really wish her all the best and
Thank you.
congratulations for the results,
you.
because she's the one who's put in the work.
She has, yeah.
And
Well,
keep us posted on how she's getting on.
I will. Thank you so much.
Thank you again.
Thank you.